Hello and welcome to the Animation Communication Podcast, your source for discussion about animation, film, fandom, and more. So please join your host, I Love Kim Possible a Lot, or KP, and Lauren Kizich, the Abbey Roadie, for today's discussion. If you like what you hear, please remember to support by giving a like, a follow, as well as subscribing to the main I Love Kim Possible a Lot channel on YouTube. Spread the word and keep being a part of a great community. This episode is appropriate for all ages.
Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Animation Communication. Episode number after 20, I can count. So this is just a me and Lauren episode because we're boring and we wanted to talk about Halloweeny stuff before we actually had people.
Yeah, happy spooky season, guys. It's officially October. How fun is that?
Technically.
I know we finally have an instance of where we know what time of year it is now. Because anytime a holiday rolls around, that's about a good enough time marker that we have. Anyway.
So, for those who are watching the loopy animation thing on YouTube, we have some new Halloween assets. So I am the Grim Reaper. Yeah, I'm the Grim Reaper. I forgot because I like death culture. It was either the Grim Reaper or Mummy. So I usually fluctuate between the two. But at Walmart the other day, I got some new PJs. That's like a PJ. Like it's a long shirt versus just like a bottom and top PJ, and it says I'm trying to unwind, and it has a picture of a mummy on it. So there you go. That's my spooky season attire. So yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah, and then Lauren's gonna dress up for Halloween. For who? I don't know, because COVID is still a thing, unfortunately. I feel like this
well, if the I guess if the Halloween overlay for us is any indicator, at least for my avatar on here, it's a certain name you say 3 times: Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. I couldn't resist. I couldn't resist the opportunity. However, I thought of trying to do it this year for Halloween as a costume. It's a bit more expensive than I was expecting.
Yeah, Beetlejuice is a pretty mainstream costume, and then you gotta get the wig and all that stuff, so.
Yeah, but the thing is like when you want to, there's so many costumes where they're inaccurate, so that would mean you'd have to really like take a blank coat and pants or whatever and make the stripes yourself and stuff, because there's so many that say this is a Beetlejuice authentic costume, and I'm like, but the stripes aren't even properly oriented, which yes, I'm going to be that person where I'm like, if you can't get like the certain stripes on the arms right, then it's not a real Beetlejuice kind of costume. It's Beetlejuice aesthetic, but it's not really his outfit. So, I'm going to be that person. But anyway, how I'm doing it is because it's 20 years of Emperor's New Groove. I was thinking I was going to be Cusco. Problem is, there's 2 versions of Cusco. There's the human version and there's the llama version. So recently I did a poll on Twitter and I asked people, I'm like, well, I'm debating between these 2 forms. And fortunately, our good buddy Eddake commented on there saying, why don't you be the human early on in the day, like first half of the day, and then later you change into the llama?
He's a Cusco werewolf.
I was like, you're onto something there, Ed. Thank you. And so I already, like, same night, I sketched out some concept pieces of like stuff where I could either make it reversible or easily detachable, and I can just like Velcro it on or whatever. So that way I can switch out like maybe his gold jewelry, and then I put on like if I like can make like a little neck piece that looks like the llama fur, then I can do that. And and then I might make like a little simple headband for the ears and stuff like that. So I mean, it's just I'm not going to go like full fursuit llama. I wish I had that kind of time, but I'm gonna but money. But I did find some cool little like tutorials and hacks and all that kind of stuff to basically make different pieces of the costume. So at the very least, all I have to do is get the materials, and that's about it. And there's a lot of DIY stuff to make it really easy without having to spend, $50 plus on a costume that's already done. And you could do it cheaper with a t-shirt and some fabric and an extra, extra, extra large t-shirt and some fabric. But yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna be Cusco. I'm excited about that personally.
So, yeah, so we're gonna discuss some spooky time movies, and giving you guys some ideas of what to watch because it's not like you have time or anything right now still. As well as, is anyone, like, creative in trying to do, like, Halloween thingies, like, on the internet? Like, is that, like, a thing?
Like,
You
define
know
creative
one?
things on the internet.
Like, I know there's, like, we're not doing Inktober anymore because the Inktober guy is bad, so we're
Yeah.
doing, like, other stuff.
I've been seeing people trying to do like Drawvember or something like that instead. So they may be skipping over October, or they may make it just an entirely different theme for October altogether that just doesn't use Inktober. So there's that. Otherwise, we got
Are there, like, any
31 night.
virtual, like
Otherwise, we got 31 Nights of Halloween on Freeform. Halloween
what's
movies every
Freeform?
day. Huh? Freeform
What's f
was the
Yeah.
old it's formerly ABC Family. So it's a channel.
Oh, they
Y
remarketed ABC Family? I don't
Yeah,
know
like
anything.
a few years ago, they changed their name to Freeform. Yeah, it's
What?
been an adjustment still, like 3
What?
years,
But
2 or 3 years onward.
but
But,
it's the
yeah.
ABC, it still says ABC at the ABC building.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean ABC changed their company name. It's just they changed the channel name because they wanted it to
That's
sound more, I guess they wanted it to sound more contemporary, I guess you could say, and more sleek rather than ABC Family. So, Freeform is a more encompassing, like adult-oriented name versus ABC Family. So I don't know. I guess they were worried they were catering to too much of a younger demographic and too I don't know. That's as far as I know is that they changed it to just kind of like make it more contemporary and they needed to do like a little facelift on the on the channel.
Alright, I didn't know that. I mean, everyone streams their stuff now, so especially and for those who didn't understand what I was talking about before, so, when you're in Burbank, there's the historic Disney lot with, like, the fucking hat and everything, and then, around the corner essentially is the ABC lot where I guess they probably film, Disney Plus shows and stuff like that, but they film Disney Plus shows and all that stuff there, from what I understand from props, which I didn't wanna watch because it made me sad. Because 'cause I'm like, I wanna be back. I want my life to continue some more." But anyway, on top of like, facing the highway, I think, they have the big ABC
Yeah,
circly things that
that's like the corporate building. It does have a cool top on it though, which it kind of is reminiscent of like skyscraper buildings on the top. So, yeah.
yeah. So
And it's
so what
right
I
next
was confused
to
about
the animation building, which uh if you look at pictures of it, it's made to look that building's made to look like a film reel. So, there's that. But I always called
yeah.
it the popcorn tin because it's red and white.
Um, yeah, but why I was confused is because they didn't, like, they didn't take the ABC thing down and, like, change it to Freeform because that's probably something I would have noticed or heard about if they were doing construction on the Disney lot.
They didn't do that. Yeah, ABC is still ABC and forever will be ABC. Because they've been ABC since the beginning of television time, and basic and of I guess radio broadcasting as well to a degree. So I mean, all they did was change the name of the channel, uh, which for a long time was ABC Family, and it had a lot more like family oriented entertainment. But since demographics changed and demands changed for different kinds of shows, more adult shows, uh, that they decided to rebrand themselves to better fit the demographics that be watching their channel. So there's that.
When did when
But
did
the one
Disney buy
time I feel like
ABC?
the one time one no, I scratch that, 2 times that, the channel seems to be more family oriented in its content is with the 31 Nights of Halloween and the 25 Days of Christmas. So you have basically just movie marathons where it's just every single day it's just movies back to back. So that's awesome.
Okay. So, my question was, when did Disney buy ABC? Did they buy it like in the 50s? Or like, did they buy ABC Family only? Like, I don't remember specifically.
It's technically it was when they bought them later. Buying them was later. They started a partnership back in like the 40s, 50s. I think it was the 50s, early 50s when they started
Okay.
doing stuff with ABC. But they didn't I guess yeah, they became an affiliated company in the 50s, but the
Okay.
whole thing of Disney taking it in entirely, I don't want to be incorrect in stating when that happened. But that
Okay.
was a more recent move.
Yeah, I think maybe early 80s, but I could
But
be
yeah, I mean,
wrong.
they partnered up with ABC to help, basically it was to help the
Wonderful World of
company.
Disney, right?
Yeah, and it was to help fund not only the movie company to help them make films and stuff like that, but it was to also help them allot money towards building Disneyland at the same time too. They were trying to like because mind you, all the things that Walt did to personally that like what did he like did he like twice mortgage or did he mortgage his house twice or something like that in order to pay for uh, Disneyland out of his own pocket. Like it was
Yeah, he was doing crazy stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean, you can't say the guy wasn't serious about what he did because I mean, nobody would do that these days. Nobody could do that these days. Um uh it's just yeah. So I mean, but the whole partnership with ABC was to help them fund the studio and the theme park division.
Welcome to this
I
other
should say WED Enterprises at the time.
well welcome to another episode of This Turns Into a Disney History podcast on accident. I'm sorry. Cuz like that's probably the most mainstream form of animation history, and that's something probably in our eyes both pretty comfort zones versus like more Warner Brothers and like Sony is just so new and stuff like that, but their brand is you can't beat the brand. Okay. So anyway, are there any I know you want to talk about stuff, Lauren, so talk about your boy.
Well, the thing is like at this point, I guess because okay, so technically, as of recording this is recording things like one going before the other. So I don't know about this
Do
headline.
you want to just cut this then?
Uh, I mean, if you're okay with the headlines being a little mismatched, I don't know.
You can just say like coming out, you don't
Yeah,
have
I
to say
guess
like
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I already said it's coming out soon, and I already estimated that the movie would be coming out this month in the next podcast. But today is when we got an official date. As of
Okay, never mind.
recording
There's
this.
no news. It's fine.
Okay, so for the editor, I do have a headline actually. There was a brand new announcement that just came out from Cartoon Network for they have a back-to-back, I believe they're back-to-back, Halloween specials coming up real soon, and as the recording of this episode, that's when they were announced. But and that's for Teen Titans Go and for Amazing World of Gumball. Now, you may be thinking, "Oh, well, they're just Halloween specials. They're just what, a few a few tricks or treats." Okay, but no, you aren't ready for the news I'm about to break to you about the Teen Titans Go special. No, 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 no. And if you know me, I'm hyped about this as heck. So, not only
What?
is
An animation podcast is talking about Teen Titans in a positive light?
not
Okay,
only
go ahead.
not only is Beetlejuice going to be a character in the special because thanks to Turner and Warner Brothers all being under that same umbrella, they can have crossover episodes. And this actually isn't the first time that the Teen Titans have interacted with Beetlejuice, but this will be the first time of seeing him in 2D animation on the show. But also, the voice of Beetlejuice is something that hasn't been seen before on TV yet. Alex Brightman Broadway's Beetlejuice from Beetlejuice the Musical is the voice of Beetlejuice. And it's like, wow, there he is. He's actually back.
Did you like cry when you heard this?
Yeah. I'm like, it's like, hey, my boy's back. Okay. I got really, really excited. And it took me completely by surprise. I was not expecting, first of all, for Beetlejuice to be involved with the Halloween special. But first of all, that's just, it's a match made in heaven to have the chaos of Teen Titans Go. And I mean that in a good way, because the show does have a good sense of like that chaotic energy teamed up with Beetlejuice, who he himself is a chaotic demon. And then on top of that, you have Alex Brightman playing him, and a lot of people agree that he brings this like charming feral energy to him, which is also just like, I don't know, there's something actually really quite endearing to what he brings to Beetlejuice. So I'm curious to see what they'll do. There's a lot of people theorizing there might be a song in the episode since it's Alex Brightman doing it. So I don't know, but that'd be pretty cool. And I know a lot of people would just die if they heard that.
So if anyone
Broadway
wants to host
community is already gushing about it right now, saying that this was huge breaking news for that. So anyway.
So if anyone is interested in co-hosting the podcast soon, because Lauren will be dead, please call us at 505-303. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I would. Has Teen Titans had songs before?
Oh yeah, they've had songs tons of times, but in terms of I guess in terms of a Halloween special, I don't think before, but this is the first time that we'll see Beetlejuice animated with them and not in Lego format, because yes, the Teen Titans did interact with Beetlejuice in the Lego Dimensions format on the show one time. I think it was a Lego special or something, and I can tell you it was probably to promote Lego Dimensions and the new sets that they were adding and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so this isn't the first time they're interacting, but is the first time that Beetlejuice will be 2D animated with them.
Yeah. Okay, well that's neat. So I guess that will come out soon. Do you like his character designs? Because I've only I don't remember them.
I personally love the design, because it's not only consistent with the show style, but it is like a really appealing design that they still made him kind of look like so he's dressed and looks a lot like the Michael Keaton Beetlejuice, the original form of Beetlejuice, but he doesn't have. He's also a little bit of a mix of his cartoon persona from the Beetlejuice cartoon series, but then to have Alex voicing him will bring this whole other energy and make it a whole other incarnation of Beetlejuice. So that's pretty cool. That we'll have almost like a fourth version of him, maybe even a fifth if you want to include the version that's in Lego. But the thing is, his energy is pretty much Keaton's Beetlejuice. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with this one. This could be a very cool exclusive fourth version of Beetlejuice that we'll see. Actually, I say fifth, because I guess if you want to include the Universal Theme Parks version of Beetlejuice.
Did we tell that story on the podcast yet? I feel like we have, but of you and the Universal Beetlejuice.
Yes,
we had to track him down.
Yes,
okay,
I have that picture, and I did share it on Twitter, but I guess it's spooky times, so I will share it again. Get Universal Hollywood's attention on Twitter again. But yeah, when KP and I went to Universal last year, it was around Christmas time.
It was Christmas Eve specifically.
Yeah, it's actually Christmas Eve. Or is it Christmas Day? Christmas Day specifically that we went.
No, it was Christmas Eve.
Was it Eve?
I remember.
Okay, yeah, it was Eve. Okay. So we were there.
I was like, Lauren, I don't have any friends. I'm not going home for Christmas. What are you doing? And you're like, we're going to
Universal.
My dad likes to pay for things, and I'm like, that sounds like a good idea. So that's what
So it was just
Shout out to Lauren's dad.
we went to hang out at Universal on Christmas Eve and had a blast. But I just remember, I think wasn't it like shoot, was it my brother that said that he spotted Beetlejuice walking around? And then
I think so.
And then I just like immediately started shaking you like I gotta go get him.
We had to like run across like maybe this is an exaggeration,
I'm
but we
not
had to
even
run
kidding.
across
I
like
sprinted. We were at like one of the little like cafes near Hogsmeade. It was the little I think it was like what was the Mexican food place? That's
okay, yeah,
over by,
backtrack. Like basically for Universal Studios, or I think Universal Florida is the same way. Is like after you go into the park, there's this general like Hollywood area, and then the farther in you go, you can go to like Hogsmeade, or you can go to the Simpsons area, or the tram thing, the thing where they take you on to around the studio
tour.
Yeah, that thing. And then I feel like there's another.
Well, it's basically where we were at was the fork before you go to any other. It's where the road splits before you go to each of those areas at the end of the Hollywood Street. So we were at the main hub where that all forks out, and I was sitting there, and my brother was like, I did see Beetlejuice hanging around Waterworld if you wanted to go find him. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I have to go. And so basically Rachel like chased after me as I go running after towards Waterworld, which is towards the front of the park, to find him. And sure enough, there he was in all of his black and white striped grimy glory. And I got pictures
She
of
left, like, as we ran, she left, like, a trail of just, like, wetness as, we got there anyway.
What? Why are you saying that?
Hey, it can be droll. You're just excited.
Cut this. I'm like, no, the internet is not going to jump on the it might be drool route.
Okay, fair, okay. How about this? You can have like little Wile E. Coyote like tracks in the thing because you ran so fast.
Tire tracks as I'm like skid marks on the ground. But yeah, as I'm peeling away. But yeah, no, it was fun. That was fun. And he actually, I found him twice that night. The second time was just by serendipity that I saw him again, and I'm just like, you know what, screw it, we're gonna take more pictures, and he was totally cool with it. So I'm like, he's honestly not easy to find at any point during the year. So it's so the fact that he was hanging around at Christmas, I was just like, okay, sure, why not? Normally he'd be around for Halloween, but okay.
Yeah, and then for those who aren't familiar with Universal Studios, it's like before you get into the sections of the things, like there's just general like Hollywood characters. They have like SpongeBob and like for some reason like SpongeBob, and they have the Grinch, and then they have like Lucille Ball and Marilyn Monroe, and like generic like Hollywood people.
And the thing is about with Universal, they don't have an entire character schedule to go off of for meet and greets. Like there may be certain set areas where you can meet preset characters, but as for walkarounds, you don't know who you're going to run into, which I personally love because you don't know who you're going to see. It's like actual star spotting, which I thought that was a great idea, because then it makes it all the more special that when you do see a character walking around that you're like, oh, I know who that is, and then you could be like, hey, can I get a picture, an autograph, all that kind of stuff. So it makes it special to find somebody at Universal, if they're not somebody that's a preset like a meet and greet area. And it's just like, for example, Beetlejuice is one of those. He's kind of a free roaming guy, which I guess would be a total match to how he actually is. Like you couldn't possibly keep him in one spot. But with other characters, it's also really cool because then you just never know who you're gonna see. But yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
okay.
We were supposed to talk about movies.
Whatever. It's a ghost. It's still relevant. Spooky time. Welcome to spooky time. So yeah. So today we're gonna talk about Halloween movies and like just general recommendations for things that you should watch. Where do you find that? Go ahead.
I was gonna say I do have and let's note that as it's an animated podcast, specifically animated Halloween movies or movies that have animated elements in them. So that can be live action with animated elements in it if you wanted to do that. So I mean, and then we may have a couple movies where we may butt heads over whether it's a Halloween movie or not, or is it just a creepy movie? Anyway.
Okay, so I guess we'll just kind of talk about our general recommendations, and then that will turn into a discussion. So we have I asked Lauren, and she gave me a list. So like, how about this, Lauren? Like of the stuff that we found, like what's your favorite Halloween themed movie thing?
All right. So usually every year I like to have a certain handful of movies that I like to go back to time and time again. Some are more recent ones, and other ones are like, several decades old. Just don't know. But for me, uh, a few of the movies I like to revisit are Hotel Transylvania, Book of Life, Casper. Yes, I'm talking about what was it, like 1995 Casper.
The one with Hillary Duff. No, that's later. Like Hillary Duff is in the Casper movie.
Yeah. She was in a different Casper
one.
movie. We're talking about the one from 1995 that had what's his shoot.
That's the one with the Ghostbusters cameo, right?
Yes, but I was gonna say there's a bunch of celebrity cameos in that movie, and with Dan Aykroyd showing up for like 2 seconds.
Who are you gonna call? Someone else.
But yeah, it was those are a few of the movies I like to revisit. Other ones that I highly recommend would be Paranorman,
Paranorman's
Corpse
great.
Bride, Monster House.
Great.
And then here's one that I guess could be up for debate is James and the Giant Peach.
James and the Giant Peach is just creepy.
Yeah, so I mean, but it does have a general, I think it's just because of the aesthetic of, when you watch a stop motion Henry Selick movie, and I am saying Henry Selick because it's not a Tim Burton movie, it's Henry Selick directing it, okay?
Read a book.
Even though it does have Tim Burton elements in it, and design elements in it. Is that James and the Giant Peach has that kind of that fall feeling. So I don't know, I like it.
They also have I'm 90% sure Selick did Coraline too.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, James has more of like very skinny like character designs, where Coraline like has weird character designs, but they're not as dependent on just like really skinny characters. So that's kind of also reminiscent of Nightmare a little bit.
I'd say it's actually pretty flipped. Because
Really?
James and the Giant Peach has like the ladybug, it has Miss Spider, it has the grasshopper, it has the centipede.
I guess I'm just thinking of like the grasshopper and the spider and like how like skinny their little arms are.
Otherwise you have
the centipede.
Yeah, you have glowworm and earthworm and ladybug, and they're all bulky and they're big and round. Or at least ladybug is
fair.
round. And then James,
I hope she's round.
And then James, when he becomes stop motion, he's got a bigger head and a little body. Which actually, if you ever watch the movie, the designs, I have an original storybook for James and the Giant Peach, and the illustrations, I could tell it was like, I think that particular book came before the movie. And then, or around the same time, but they adapted the movie based on the book designs. Because you can tell, like, from a design aspect and aesthetic, that they totally adapted it from the book illustrations. Just because of how creepy and yet wonderfully illustrations are. They're like creepy, but they're whimsical. Which I guess would be fitting of something that's like, I think James and the Giant Peach was that a Roald Dahl? I think that was Roald Dahl.
I was going to mention that. I'm like,
he's really good with kids stories that are really not for kids.
I don't know. Like, I remember. I mean, I don't remember this too often, but I think Roald Dahl was like kind of weird. Maybe not. I don't know. Like, I feel like he was one of those that had like a child bride or like
Yes,
an
Roald Dahl.
18-year-old
I was
bride.
right. I was right. I just checked. It was written in 1961 by Roald Dahl.
Okay. So, he might have one of those instances, but don't quote me if I'm wrong because anyway, I don't know. So if you don't know Roald Dahl, then he wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is pretty much the most famous thing, and Matilda, which is now a Broadway play. Well, before Broadway was not shut down. So can't win them all. Womp womp. Okay, and then so do you want to talk about more, or do you want me to talk about some that I like?
Go ahead and talk about a few of yours, and then we'll discuss from there.
We'll get into the questionable ones. Let's see. So my thing is zombies and death, and discussion of death and like existential artist stuff. So that influences a lot of my artistry in general, and yeah. So I like Paranorman. Coraline I like, but it's a little bit too Alice in Wonderland for me as far as like child goes into another realm, except now it's creepy and whatever. But I don't like that's a subjective approach, but objectively it's a good movie. Nightmare Before Christmas is beaten to death. I like Corpse Bride again. Frank and Weenie I kind of like, but the third act got really weird and confusing and like disjointed. So like aesthetically it's neat, and like Disney got what it paid for. They got another Tim Burton creepy stop motion movie, I guess. Did you like Frank and Weenie?
Yeah, I actually did. I mean, I like the short film of it, the live action short film of it better.
Mm-hmm.
But I did like what they did try to do with the stop motion one, and plus the design of Spot was really cute.
Yeah, he's a good bean. Hotel Transylvania is pretty cute, but that's also one that's like debatably not a Halloween movie because it's like it's not set around Halloween. It just has monsters and stuff, right?
Yeah, it's like Halloween monsters, or at least monsters and creatures synonymous with Halloween. That they are represented in the movie. There is, I guess you could say, a point where they do see humans celebrating Halloween, and they realize that they're actually being celebrated instead of feared. So there is that.
Okay. So yeah, and then if you haven't seen Hotel Transylvania, it's pretty standard stuff as far as like, you know, a relatively safe, engaging kids movie. It's not there's nothing bad about it, but it's not pushing any boundaries either. But anyway, what I really like it is about it is that's another Jendi Tarakovsky thingy who I think we just talked about this like recently, but Samurai Jack dude. So what you
In
can
Dexter's
tell is
Lab.
in Dexter's Lab, yeah, he did that first. But what you can really tell about Hotel Transylvania is there's a lot of live action usage as far as like I imagine that's how he directed it for the storyboard. So it really stretches and uses a lot of animation principles when the characters are animated specifically Dracula himself, and I
Mhm.
thought that was really neat. So it's not it doesn't look like just another CGI movie like on the surface it does, but once you start watching it, then it's like, oh wow, they're doing something that's a little different. So kind of same thing with the Popeye short he did. It's very like it stretches itself and it kind of has fun with the fact that it is an animation, and not just like we can't have any fun, it's gotta be, like, lifelike, and then, like, "Why did you animate this? This was a mistake." It's not like that all the time, but, anyway. Um, I really like, I really like Coco. I've made the discovery, like, over the course of, like, the last, like, 2 or 3 months that Coco is is my favorite Pixar film objectively, even though it's number 2 on the Pixar thing I did with Cell Specs, who still exists. But yeah, I love Hector so much. He's a sad bean who finally gets his happy ending. Yay! So Coco again is technically and Book of Life is technically um Day of the Dead, which is a Mexican holiday. So but I don't know. Like I really enjoyed Coco because let me try to elaborate it. It's really smart and compact, and No, I can't. I would have written things down if I could think some more a little bit, like how to describe Coco in like 5 minutes. But I guess like from what I felt is it like it's one of those movies that thinks of like every possible angle you can like interpret it from and tries to like solidify things as much as possible. Versus like I just recorded a video about Nightmare that will be on the Man channel like relatively soon, where Nightmare is like the opposite of that, where there's a lot of like plot holes, or maybe not even plot holes, but inconsistency as far as like its world building and stuff like that, which is fine. Like the point of the point of the movies is the main plot, not the world building is comes secondly. But like when you have everything that's solid, especially with Hector and just all the beats and like I'm gonna spoil a little bit for you, but like when they lose the picture and then like Coco has a picture of him the whole time and she actually kept it forever, and then like everything's even good in the living world now. It just like it kind of goes that extra step. And I really look for movies that kind of like have like almost a double closure in that way, where we get the closure that Hector, doesn't get to die twice, I guess, but then you get the extra step of um he's also restored in the living world too, and now he's respected, and everyone knows the other guy murdered him. I don't know how, like that's fan fiction territory, but it's
it's
nice.
the
So
Happy Dia de los Muertos to everyone except Ernesto de la Cruz. That's become a saying every year
fuck
now.
that guy. Fuck that guy. So I don't know. I was kind of curious after I watched it like one or two times again, like relatively recently, like to look into some fan fiction about like how, because for those who don't know the movie, there's the scene where they find the picture again, and then they cut to a year later, and then it's like, oh, and Ernesto is like, everyone's mad at him, obviously. So there has to be like, there's obviously some sort of like untalked about thing, which I hope they do a short about eventually. That would be really cool. And also a good idea because it's something that's like already, the story's already built in there for you. You just gotta like flesh it out a little bit. But anyway, like how they proved that Hector was the one who wrote the songs, and like I guess they had to figure out how he murdered Hector, like Ernesto murdered Hector somehow. I don't know, like that's like a lot of forensic stuff. I don't know, Lauren. Do you think that was like part of like the epilogue, that it was proven that Ernesto did kill Hector, or you think it was just Ernesto stole the songs and people were just mad about that?
No, I think it did get I think him stealing the songs was proven. But it also had to take into account that uh, that Miguel visited the land of the dead. He saw what he
Right.
saw, and he was able to take that back with him. So, I mean, I guess it was a matter of people believed him or not, which I guess in this case they did.
But then I guess it's more like, was that like, did they follow up like trying to prove that, where like they found like, they had to do some like forensic bullshit where they're like, let's go find Hector's dead skeleton. Let's see if there's any remains of like poison or whatever, like, and then like track that to the like, like crime shows.
Am
I thinking about this too much?
Don't think too hard about it.
It's fine. No, we'll have like CSI like Coco edition where like they come in and just like, okay, there's been a murder. It was Ernesto in the hotel with the poison. Okay, there's my one.
The poison chosen
reference.
specially to kill Hector. Hector's poison.
Anyway, I'm surprised someone should make an edit of that. That'd be fun. Anyway, so let's see. Coco, I like Book of Life too. Specifically, I forgot the names of the characters. Zavolva and La Muerte. My Spanish. Yeah, my Spanish accent is horrible. But anyway, I like them a lot. They remind me of Discord and Celestia, and they're neat. And yeah, it's a fun movie. But it's much different from Coco, and I'm sure there's like fan fictions where like they try to tie the worlds together, and that would be neat. I'd like that.
Well, yeah.
Anyway,
with them being under the same Disney umbrella, crossovers could happen now.
What is this, a crossover?
But yeah, I loved Book of Life, and I think it's because, I mean, while Coco is a gorgeous film, like, I am not discounting Coco for what it contributed, and even then, Jorge Gutierrez, who directed and created Book of Life, was like, "Don't tear down Coco for being, another Day of the Dead movie. We should be thankful that we have another Day of the Dead movie to
Isn't
add
that
to the
crazy?
catalog."
Like, can you
Like,
think of, like, people getting mad that there was 2 Christmas movies that just existed? Like, it's so stupid.
yeah, like, you think about how many Hallmark Christmas movies are made every year. So anyway, but yeah, I loved the energy and the designs and just the idea how they carried out the story for Book of Life, in that they presented the characters in the, like, wooden puppet format, which I thought that was pretty cool, that they just made all the characters look like they were little wooden puppets. So that way, when it's established early in the movie, it's like, "Oh, let me tell you the story about, about the Day of the Dead," and, they show the puppets beforehand, and then it shows that whole world with them being alive. Um but yeah, I loved the it was kind of funny because, with Jorge, he wanted to, I guess he wanted to tell a story and had been working on it for years, um, that the soundtrack has a lot of songs accumulated from, like, the '90s to the 2000s and stuff like that,
Mhm.
that got put into the soundtrack and were covered for the movie. Um, but in a way, they did add, it's almost like how in Shrek that the pop songs add to the story a little bit. It's not so much a detraction. I see them as an accent to what's going on. So,
Is
and
it a
also the
Spanish
design,
accent
just the designs,
to do too?
the aesthetic. Rarely do you see a movie where the concept art and the final product look exactly the same. So it's like when you look at concept art for Book of Life, the designs are so intricately done and so just beautifully crafted that it's, I mean, it, like, everything looks like it is sculpted and carved and all of that, and then finally, when you see the finished product, when everything's 3D rendered and textured and painted and just and animated, you realize, "Ah, it looks exactly like the concept art." That never I swear that never happens.
Back in my day. Anyway, yeah, I agree with that, and it's how long did it take for him to make that movie? Didn't he, like, pitch it around for, like, 10 or 15
Yeah,
years?
I mean, the original, like, the very, if I remember, like, the baseline concept that gave him that led him to creating the whole story for Book of Life was his senior was, why was a senior thesis? I guess it was a senior thesis film in college. So, I
Okay.
mean, he'd been working on it for a long time, at least since, like, I don't know, 2000 maybe?
Oh,
Early
we're old.
2000s? Late
Everyone's
90s,
old.
early 2000s maybe?
Okay. So it's his Moby Dick, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, that's a bad, like, a bad analogy, but you get it. Um, let's see what else is on here that we can discuss. Um, I guess. Oh, we didn't talk about House of Villains of all things.
Oh,
You guys
I
like
didn't even list that
nostalgia?
originally. The Mickey's House of Villains. Okay, for those who are too young to know, or some of you may not remember, or some of you do remember. In that case, good. Glad we're not the only ones.
You
Is
did
that
it.
Mickey's House of Mouse was a TV show that ran in the early 2000s, early and mid 2000s. That was almost like a combination of a comedy show, like an animated comedy show that took place inside an entertainment club, and it was also a way to show new Mickey cartoons and Mickey and Friends cartoons. Um, and so they would have, like, all these little storylines inside that, I guess plot A, plot B kinda thing, inside the
Mhm.
club between Mickey and all the people working with him. Mickey's House of Villains was a Halloween special, I guess you could say. Um, that had the Disney villains taking over the club. Now, also, I should also mention that the House of Mouse was the one place where you could see, it was one show that was like the ultimate crossover. You had Disney characters from like a bajillion movies all coming together to sit at tables and watch cartoons and eat dinner. Like that was the premise. And so the House of Villains was where the villains take over the House of Mouse and kick Mickey out so they could take over the place themselves. It's, I mean, I think that was just a funny concept. And it was one of those few instances where, I mean, you had, some of the like original villain voices come back to reprise their roles. So
Yeah, I
I
think the
mean, James
majority
Woods
of them. James
James
Woods
Woods
always
came
comes
back for
back.
Hades, as he
Yeah.
always will.
Oh man, James Woods is a tricky children. But yeah, James Woods, and then what's his face? Jonathan Freeman, who plays Jafar, always reprises Jafar. I
Mhm.
think Pat Carroll, who does Ursula, always reprises Ursula. I'm trying to think of the only, like, obviously besides the villains that like were for villains from movies that were made in like the 50s and 40s, where their original VAs are probably not alive anymore.
Right.
I'm trying to think of anyone who like usually doesn't reprise their role that's a Disney villain. Like maybe Jeremy Irons most of the time doesn't reprise Scar. Like not that he has anything better to do. I checked
Yeah.
IMDb Jeremy Irons. Like I know. So usually I think Jim Cummings plays him. So which is fine, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jim Cummings finished off the singing for Be Prepared when
Yeah.
Jeremy
So like
Irons couldn't do it. So
technically it's fine. Let
they
me
were
look
half
up.
right. They got it half right.
I mean, better than nothing. But like, Jim Cummings will play Scar in like video games that no one cares about and stuff. So, did I? Was he Scar in Kingdom Hearts too?
I'm gonna have to. I was just
TOO,
thinking
not.
about that. Yeah. Well, no, I know. I'm just. Let me fact check that. In the meantime, talk about something while I
Okay, I'm
look
just
this
looking
up.
up the villains. Essentially, this was before. This was before Dr. Facilier was a villain. So like,
Oh,
Keith David.
James Horan.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right, I've never heard of that
yeah.
person.
But yeah, and he's also in the interactive attraction Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom, filling in for Jeremy Irons there too. So he's been used more than once for Scar.
Okay. I'm trying to think. Since Tony J died, do they have someone who like plays Shere Khan now? Like
Isn't it like Corey Burton or something?
I don't know. Maybe we're getting too deep in lore. Okay, go watch Mickey's House
Yeah,
of
I think
Villains is fun.
it's Corey Burton.
Okay. That's neat. But anyway, if you like things that aren't canon, obviously, because you can't like same thing with Kingdom Hearts, like it's not canon in relation to their own Disney movies. It's reconceptualized for the need of the universe at the time. But I really think that kind of synergy is kind of the future of not only Disney, but just kind of branding in general. And they kind of do things like Nickelodeon does, like All-Star Races or whatever, their version of that with like Harold and Invader Zim and stuff. But I don't know, it's just something to think about. Do you want to talk about the Were-Rabbit movie that I haven't seen yet that you like?
Yeah, I still can't believe you haven't seen Curse of the Were-Rabbit, but
I think
you
I
definitely got to
got
see
mad
it.
because
So,
like, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so if for any of you who are fans of Wallace and Gromit and you know about Wallace and Gromit, I mean, honestly, they've been known for like 30 years. So hopefully you already know about Wallace and Gromit. They're a claymation series about a man and his dog going on adventures, and it sounds generic, but then you realize that the adventures include either uh stopping a penguin robber who dresses up like a chicken, stopping a cyborg dog from eating them, or they're going to the moon because they think the moon's made of cheese and they love cheese and crackers, so they think they're just gonna go to the moon and get moon cheese. Did I mention this was a UK production? Um, but yeah, Curse of the Were-Rabbit was Wallace and Gromit's first theatrical movie release, and it was made by Aardman Studios, who have been making the Wallace and Gromit shorts since day one. And this was their full feature-length film, and absolutely 100% intended to be a Halloween movie, because it all revolves around Wallace and Gromit being, I guess you could say, rabbit exterminators, except they're really not exterminators. They just kind of capture and trap rabbits that are eating people's gardens, and especially at a time when there's a harvest festival going on and everybody's trying to protect their gardens and their prized vegetables that'll be, judged and win awards during the contest. They're like, get rid of the rabbits. And this is a town that really loves its vegetables, apparently. So, but in the meantime, there comes the rise of a creature that is enormous, and it is eating all of these. It's like almost like killing off all of these prized vegetables, just devouring them in the night. And then but the monster can't be found. So it's like some creature that's lurking in the night and eating all the vegetables. And so it's up to Wallace and Gromit to be able to figure out what this monster is, and if it's actually this fabled were-rabbit that has been eating the vegetables. And trust me, it's a lot of fun, and you just have to watch. I don't want to spoil the rest of it for you because it's just a lot of fun. Got a great voice cast too. It's and plus, if you like British humor, there's a lot of it in there. So, but in general, it's got really clever writing, and that was always tied in synonymously to Wallace and Gromit, was that the jokes and visual gags were really well timed. And just it still blows my mind that the film is done in stop motion because of how intricate the sets are and how much detail goes into sculpting everything, the figures, the props, these entire gardens filled with vegetables, or these greenhouses filled with plants. It's fun.
It also has Harry Potter alumni in it. Not that that matters. I was googling it while Lauren was talking. Let's see what else is there. So obviously the most famous thing of all the things that came out of Peanuts is the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown, which is always fun. Have you seen any of the other Charlie Brown movies? Because I haven't. I
have. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, it's like I think for a lot of people it may have been that the Christmas one was the first one for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, obviously the Christmas one, but I was like, have you seen Thanksgiving Charlie Brown or
Oh yeah, and there's
Okay.
technically two Thanksgivings. Yeah, there's two, maybe three Thanksgiving specials. Because one is so one is the Thanksgiving special. Another one is an add-on of more shorts relevant to Thanksgiving in a way. And then another one is where the kids are recreating the Pilgrims and the Indians meeting or something, I should say, the Native Americans, I should say. But hey, it was the 70s, 80s, whatever, when they did the short, so don't fault me on that.
Basically, yeah, for those she's referring to the fact that if you look up the history of Thanksgiving, it's pretty bad. So I'm thinking that's one of those holidays like Columbus Day that will probably be either deleted from the calendar or at least recontextualized, probably recontextualized to be hey, let's just National Good Person Day instead of let's rewrite our history to be less horrible. So
yeah, well, at the very least, what most people seem to be synonymous with Thanksgiving nowadays is just it's a day to be thankful for what you have. And totally not to contradict that with the next day being Black Friday, where everybody goes and forgets everything that they said on Thursday.
Is Black Friday celebrated throughout? I say celebrated, but is Black Friday a thing throughout the world, or it's just an American thing?
It's primarily an American thing, to my knowledge, because it's just. I mean, yes, it's a means to make a ton of money, but it's also to clear shelves so that they can make room for other stock. So
Should we define what Black Friday is for people?
I feel like anybody listening to this already knows what Black Friday is. It's, it's a
Okay.
huge sale day. Everybody waits for it because you do get some pretty ridiculously good deals on stuff. And especially if it's stuff that you truly do need. Like if you need a new computer, your old one's dying. I'm looking at you, KP.
Yeah, my computer's very like
That you can get
it's
one.
my
Like
com-
if you like
Go
the
ahead.
stuff you really need, I get that's the kind of stuff that's good on Black Friday because then it's a worthy investment for your work, for leisure, for everything that you need in your life. And we're in a digital age, so a lot of digital stuff goes on crazy sales on Black Friday.
And then we get Cyber Monday, which is like that, but for online
It's
stuff. Like
basically Black Friday and Cyber Monday make it a 4-day weekend of sales. So
yeah, buy your shit then. Anyway, yeah, my computer's very bad. Not that anyone cares, not that this is part of animation, but like my screen is green now, like the keyboard, the front of the keyboard is being held together by super glue. Like it's bad, but now that I've like can have the monitor like at least be legible, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna hold on it for a little while because I'm unemployed right now. So, hey, if you want to buy me a new computer, I'll link my PayPal. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, let's see what other Halloween things are there. Or probably maybe next year, or like maybe if people want to, we'll do like Halloween specials in cartoons because there's like tons of those that we can talk about for days and days and days.
oh yeah.
Let's see. We have obvious like what haven't we had talked about yet? So we have
I
if
kind of
go
didn't
ahead.
really. Oh yeah, I was gonna say we didn't really talk about Paranorman. Are you comfortable talking about Paranorman?
Yeah, I can do Paranorman and Corpse Bride a little bit. So I like both of them very much. So Paranorman, they're both stop motion, which is I guess I mean like with the exception of Leica, I feel like a lot of just like Halloween creepy movies are stop motion because of Nightmare like just totally making that like a streamlined thing for some reason. I don't know. But like I think Corpse Bride is just funny because like Warner Brothers just like we want one of those, but for us, like referring to Nightmare, so they like got Tim Burton and they did the whole stop motion thing and they were like Tim Burton style and it was I think that's hilarious. But anyway, so of the two, I probably like Corpse Bride better, but Paranorman has a better like I think established story if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um
there's a lot of lore to Paranorman, and then just a lot of history because it is rooted in the town's history. What goes on in the story and how Norman just is at the center of it all and how he's the key to everything.
right.
So it is really cool that it's almost like a mystery in that respect, mystery
Mhm.
thriller, uh, and it's still quite scary, which I give a lot. I mean, so much credit to Leica for the stories that they tell and the lengths they go to tell that story in stop motion. Um, there's a ton of I mean, they may have some, like, certain digital effect overlays, but for most of the stuff that they put on screen, it's stop motion. They do it by hand, and if there's any weird, ghostly effects, maybe some, maybe,
Like
it
transparent
looks like it
characters.
looks like there's a part where I'm not gonna spoil it too much, but it looks like a part where Ghost looks like it's having an internal battle with itself and the head is almost like splitting in two and like fizzling out and just like it looks like it's glitching out and they had to animate that by hand. That wasn't a digital effect. That was them having to animate and create these frames by hand. So I mean that's insane.
So they like I don't remember the part you're talking about, but did they just like did they two frame it and then like put it they put it
No, I
together?
mean like you know how you when you have to make smear frames.
Mhm.
It's like they did that for the figure though. It's at the end, at the climax.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I
that
was gonna say. I'm like, I don't wanna say who because if there's
Oh,
people
yeah,
who haven't
yeah,
seen
okay,
it,
yeah, I know what you're
so
talking about. Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, but that was done where it looks like, that was done with actual individual, like, heads where they had to, where they made, like, head doubles,
Oh, yeah, I'm an idiot.
as
Yeah,
part of
I
the
was like
frames. So, yeah, but that was done
when
by
I heard
hand.
Yeah, when I heard glitching, I was just like, I don't remember that many computers in Paranorman. So
No. It looks like the head is glitching out, not like yeah.
Anyway, so like, and then Corpse Bride is mostly like 5 characters influencing each other in like the 1800s, essentially, and like one primarily bad guy versus like Paranorman is very like, but society is the bad guy. So
Yeah, oh, like me. Yeah, meanwhile, Corpse Bride. Gee, I wonder who the bad guy is. It's a mystery.
oh no, it's the guy with the poison again. That's all I'll say. But we're making poison jokes, so it's like,
but it is a fun movie. I do love Corpse Bride, and
yeah.
you know, I know they get put together a lot. I don't know. Tim Burton had a thing for putting Helena Bonham Carter and Johnny Depp together so much, but they
I
do
mean,
work together. So I mean, I can't say that it doesn't work.
that's kind of like the basic Tim Burton aesthetic where he's like, I like these people. I'm gonna cast them in everything ever. Like especially since like, I didn't learn this until I watched as Edward Scissorhands for the first time like 3 or 4 months ago, and like I think Tim Burton is just like, Johnny Depp is my spirit animal. Like he's my author avatar, so I'm gonna have him be my author avatar and everything. So I think it's just more like an arty thing versus anything like weird. And I kind of feel bad because like Johnny Depp got a lot of shit with like all of the rumor stuff going on and so
But that all got debunked because it turns out he wasn't the one doing the bad stuff. It was the other way around.
check your sources.
I guess if we're gonna talk about it, the elephant in the room, it had to do with him and Amber Heard, who was like his girlfriend, right? I guess they were his girlfriend.
I don't know the
They
details.
lived
I just
together,
go ahead.
and she claimed abuse. She was actually the one abusing him, and he had to fight legal battles over it. I think to a degree he still is, but but yeah, it was debunked that he was the one being abusive, and she was the one who is actually has a history of abuse, not just with him, but with other people. So
Right. It's like patterns of abuse are like congruent, and like they had to, I think they interviewed a bunch of like people that used to date Johnny Depp, and everyone's just like, he's fine, like we love him.
exactly.
So that's kind of how I think from my understanding of the case, that's how they caught it. But anyway, like let's move on to back to happy stuff, which is like dead people. Yeah.
to more shows about death.
Yeah, dead people stuff. As far as, oh yeah, we can talk about like the best Scooby-Doo. So Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, which is great.
Haha, yes. King tier is King tier Scooby-Doo movie is Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. This was a Scooby-Doo adventure from the 90s, and it was like the late 90s. And it was the very first Scooby-Doo movie. It was like one of those like first instances of Scooby-Doo in like several years. So when it came out, first of all, it was a big deal that Scooby-Doo came out with a movie, let alone a movie of this caliber. Now, it was the storyline was much darker than any of their previous incarnations and any of their previous mysteries, where this was something that involved actual monsters. That was never seen before. With Scooby-Doo, it was always a guy in a mask or somebody who was in a mask, and it was or in a costume, or it was a visual effect. This was an actual thing with actual monsters, and the gang had never faced that before. So I think that's really cool that it just ups the stakes for what the gang goes through. And then on top of that, it is truly to this day, I am still like not only creeped out, but it still scares me at the end. How far they go with the scare factor. It's like, I'm like, you know what? For Scooby-Doo, that's what makes it jarring. It's not so much like, oh, this is Saw or whatever. It's just the fact that it's taking the property of Scooby-Doo and actually going like, we're going to go here with it. And yeah, you're going to watch this. We're going to do,
like,
there's nothing you can do to stop us from going this dark. So, yeah, I'm like,
go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just gonna say, it's like developing your lore will actually help your main story a little bit. Imagine that. So, like, you gotta kind of find the balance.
It's
feel
what
like
you can do with 90 minutes.
So, if you have like weak lore, then it kind of makes it feel like you unless it's like a very like this is now movie. It kind of makes it harder to sink yourself in the world if like there's not a lot of thought being thought about for like the world structure, I guess. But it's the main plot that has to be first, and then the world like building is second. But if they're both good, then you're just like, yay, I can like just go into this world and not come out. So, I'm totally in the camp that, Scooby-Doo is such a big franchise, and Lauren just like talked about Scoob. I think we just talked about Scoob like a couple podcasts ago. But, you have to kind of know the history of it to make a not convincing, but like a engaging story, because if not, then you're just like, there's so many bad Scooby-Doo like direct to DVD movies because they're continually making them. I don't think they've stopped. So that are just like, lol, like we didn't watch any of Scooby-Doo. We just know Shaggy's a hippie and Scooby is a dog, and like Fred is always played by the same guy. Good job, you. What's his name?
Fred.
What's his name?
Are you wait? Who's the voice of Fred?
Yeah.
Frank Welker.
Yeah, Frank Welker, who has played Fred since the beginning of Fred.
The beginning.
So not a lot of people know. There's actually a Teen Titans Go episode that makes fun of that. Not makes fun of that, but brings that to attention, which I thought was fun. But anyway, you guys can look that up later. I think it's the Scooby-Doo Teen Titans Go crossover, which obviously makes sense. That exists, by the way. Anyway, so and that's why I think Mystery Incorporated has aged really well considerably, is because same thing, like they watched all the Scooby-Doo lore. They like for those who don't know, Mystery Incorporated is a continuation from the beginning series, like Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? And it kind of builds from there. So it's kind of like after that, but they like reference the original series as far as plots and stuff like that. And there's like this like coherent story and stuff like that. So I think it's really great. But
Zombie Island walked so that Mystery Incorporated could run.
Yeah, if you want good Scooby-Doo lore, then Mystery Incorporated. But then like if you're still doing like Scooby-Doo stuff and you have more like a comedic tone, being familiar with the franchise still helps either way. Like I think of A Pup Named Scooby-Doo as far as like a good knowledge of lore that helps influence the structure of the show really well. And the PlayStation game Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights, which is very lore conscious, and they even have
extensively.
Yeah, and it's great, and it's definitely not as serious as Mystery Incorporated, but and you don't like, the thing is, you don't have to know like Where Are You to understand the game, but it makes the game much more fun. And then we got Tim Curry, and it's great. So if you haven't, I actually never finished Night of 100 Frights except like recently. No, I did.
I'm gonna be real. I haven't either because I could not get the 100th fright. I for some reason could never get it.
I did finish the game, but I had to cheat because like there was a roadblock. So for those who never played the game, and basically you have to it's one of those games where you have to collect things and then go back to specific locations to go further on, because now you can reach the thing with the gadget you have. So Lego games have been like that. So in Scooby-Doo, there's like this inventor dude who like gives you gadgets as you like defeat all the bosses and save all the gang. And then you're like, oh, I can access this level. But it gets really fucking confusing where things are, man. So a lot of times it's just happy accidents that like, oh, that's where Fred was this whole game. That's great. And then I got like near the last bit of it, I didn't know what to do, and I had to like look up walkthroughs, and I'm just like, but then I got to the last like area with the final boss and stuff, and I'm just like, oh, that's where this was this whole time. So it's one of those games that like it's hard to play because it's challenging gameplay. It's not so much like a challenging story, I guess, if that makes sense. So
yeah, it's like the mechanics of it, like, don't even get me started on when you're on a slippery surface and then you're just like doing the mad scramble to try and run across the surface, and you're just sliding everywhere. So it's like
oh my god. No, my favorite thing is they have the fucking laugh track.
Yeah, okay, that's actually, I think, hilarious because then as if when you're bashing enemies' heads in, the laugh track goes because you're making like, funny sound effects of just like, boing, prong, all the like, classic uh Hanna-Barbera cartoony sound effects as you're like bashing
Mhm.
villains' heads in, and the crowd just goes, ha 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 ha. It's just, it's like, it's so funny because it
Where are
feels
they
like the
coming
show.
from?
Yeah, who's
Where are these?
watching this? This
Where are those people?
omniscient audience watching this the entire time, sitting there for several hours watching you play a video game. I think it's just funny.
Yeah.
And the game doesn't take itself too seriously. So it's like that's what there's a lot of fourth wall breaking, self-awareness in there. And I mean that's pretty advanced for at the time. Like it was ahead of its time in a lot of regards for that because it was just so aware of what it was and the content of the show that it was based on. So it's yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, so the moral of the podcast is if you're gonna do Scooby-Doo anything, make sure you know your lore, at least the main series lore, and then kind of go from that. Um,
And if I may be incorrect, but is Casey Kasem like the voice of Shaggy in that too?
I'm
Like he
pretty
voiced
sure.
Shaggy for a long time.
I'm like 90% sure because I think Matt Lanyard or whatever his name is. I don't think he took over till after the live action Scooby-Doo movies.
Oh yeah,
and
no,
then,
Matt Lillard, he was not until after the live action movies, and that's when they picked him up for the cartoon stuff.
Yeah,
But he did get Casey Kasem's blessing to take up the torch as Shaggy. So I thought that was pretty cool when he stepped into the live action role. So I thought that was pretty cool.
but then Casey Kasem turned out to be like a bad person, right?
Uh, did he?
I think so. I feel like he did. Um, okay, I can Google it real quick if you wanna take over another. I think we talked about the majority of the video. You want to talk about Ichabod and Mr. Toad?
Uh, yeah, I guess I could talk a little bit about
Okay,
that. It's
I'll
been
Google it real
forever.
quick.
It's been for honestly, it's been forever since I've watched Ichabod and Mr. Toad. I've sooner watched the Ichabod Crane part than the Mr. Toad part. but I because well, one is clearly creepier than the other. So what I will talk about, I guess, in the sake of the Halloween part of it, I will talk about Ichabod Crane.
Okay.
Um, so, if you've probably been around the Disney parks and have been there for the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party, that kind of stuff, you've probably seen, at least in Disney World, they have the Headless Horseman riding around on his majestic black steed, carrying his jack-o'-lantern pumpkin head, at his side. Uh, so what's cool about that is, yeah, that came from the legend. It was the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, which is the story of Ichabod Crane. Um, I don't know. I guess it's kind of a short film, more or less, because Ichabod and Mr. Toad is just a compilation of two stories. But but I guess you could say the general story of Ichabod Crane is this guy who thinks he's hot stuff, and he's very scholarly, and the ladies like him and stuff like that. He thinks he's all that. He basically hears this story about the Headless Horseman of Sleepy Hollow, from one of the local guys, and he thinks, "Oh, he's pretty scary. He's spooked, but nothing can scare me." And basically, the Headless Horseman finds him that very same night. And I guess the debate is whether or not the guy who told the story to him was dressed up as the Headless Horseman or if the Headless Horseman was real. Either way, let's just say Ichabod Crane did not make it out of there. So um, uh, once he ran across him, he didn't make it out alive. And that's where it pretty much leaves off. But it is a musical short story, or short film, I should say. And it's sung and narrated by Bing Crosby. Yeah, and so he's got the low tone crooner voice narrating the story and also serving as Ichabod's voice.
Mhm.
So I like it. It's a little taste of the 1940s.
Okay,
1940s Disney.
I found, and then like the Mr. Toad ride on Disneyland is like even like its own other story. It's weird. Okay, I found the thing I was referencing to. So apparently there was a big custody battle between Casey Kasem's wife and children, and that's where it got nasty. So I don't think he was a bad person, but that's where it just
No, that's just a custody battle. Yeah.
Yeah. So now you know that random piece of history, I guess, guys. He was also a disc jockey.
Yes,
So
that's how he got his voice out there initially, was that he was a radio host and a disc jockey. So he was a voice for radio.
Yay! So
And that's how he got into voice acting. So there you go.
The moral of the story is get on a radio station, or like in this case, make a podcast, because some people are like, "What's a radio?" And I'm like, "You mean iHeartRadio?" And I'm just like, "You mean Pandora?"
You think Casey Kasem would run a podcast if he were like one of us these days?
I think so. I mean, I think people would jibe with the fact that they could talk to like OG Shaggy too, and talk about, like even if it was like something like relatively political, because everyone has political opinions, then like, but it just depends on what angle he would want to go with it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
We can't predict these things.
Yeah. I think we've pretty much gone through like almost all of these. Oh, did you want to talk about Coraline? I mean, that's along the same line as Paranorman. I guess you could say it preceded Paranorman.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah,
from
we
Leica.
can do that. Yeah, and then I'll talk about the Halloween tree briefly, and then there's your condensed list of Halloween specials, everyone. So Coraline, for those who don't know, is a Neil Gaiman story where they made a movie about it with the same thing that they always do. They put it into stop motion because it's creepy, I guess, because that's what we do now. So again, Coraline is very like I said earlier, of Alice in Wonderland, where she goes through a portal to another world. The difference is here that I guess she feels family just moved. She feels like her parents are ignoring her, so she goes into this world and like she finds like basically copies of her parents and her neighbor and stuff that pay attention to her, and they pay attention to her and like shower her, and then that doesn't turn out so great. To not spoil the movie, essentially. What could possibly go wrong?
It's another like cautionary tale of be careful what you wish for. So yeah, I guess that's the best way to put it. And yeah, it is very Alice in Wonderland, because she does, after she's having this realization of like, this isn't happening for me. I wish I had this. And then that happens when she goes to the other world. She gets what she asked for, but is it what she really needs, or at least to the extent that she wanted? Is that really what was good? So, yeah. So again, it's like the real fun is seeing how all of that unfolds, and to the extent that they go visually to tell that, it's a trip.
Keith David cat, yay! So Keith David does things. He's neat. He's a voice actor, but he's probably most famous for Dr. Facilier and Goliath from Gargoyles. He's actually in Amphibia now, which I didn't know until I watched some clips. But anyway, this is not the Amphibia podcast, so I think that's about all of the. I feel like Nightmare Before Christmas is talked about too much, so you guys know what Nightmare Before Christmas.
Did you want to talk about the Halloween tree?
Oh yeah, Halloween tree. So Halloween tree is this like, because we're out of like standalone like Halloween themed things. So, and I guess we can talk about Monster House a little bit too before we wrap. Briefly. Do you know Monster House?
So I love Monster House.
Okay, so you can do that. Okay, so Halloween tree. The Halloween tree is this creepy Ray Bradbury story, and Ray Bradbury as an author is pretty hit or miss. Like, you either really like his stuff or you think it's weird and you're like, eh. So the Halloween tree is basically like Leonard Nimoy. This was made like in the early 90s, and Leonard Nimoy was like this creepy like guy with a big head, and so these kids are about to go trick-or-treating, and then I guess it's like 5 or 4 of them, and then one of their friends, like, I think gets hit by a car or something. And he might die, so they have to go and like find his soul. And then Little Nimoy is like, let's learn about Halloween and make this educational at the same time. So they go to like they go to Notre Dame, the cathedral, and they go to Day of the Dead before that was like a Day of the Dead celebration before that was more mainstream. They go to trying to think what else they do. Yeah, stuff like that. I don't remember, but they go to like 4 different like locations of like how other cultures practice death culture and things. They go to Egypt, and like so the whole complex is like Little Nimoy is like, you guys have costumes, right? But do you know why you wear the costumes? You're gonna find out on the Magic School Bus Halloween edition. Beep beep. So it was made by Hanna-Barbera, so like animation is it's cell animation, so it's not anything special in that regard. You know, if you think of like shitty or early 90s like Captain Planet kind of animation, that's what it was. But I think if anything, it's kind of interesting, and it's an original original, like it's based on a book, but it's not another IP or anything like that that's established. If you want to learn some stuff, then I think it's interesting, and I guess the moral is like live life to the fullest because you might die someday, which is kind of morbid for a kids cartoon.
It's not might, it's you will.
You might, and then but if you're famous, then you get to live forever, Lauren. That's how it works.
All right. Technically, if you're immortalized in a different way.
Hey, you like listen to Michael Jackson's Thriller, and then everyone from that song is dead except maybe the girl from the music video. But I don't know. Like we're getting too existential here, but anyway. So yeah, you will die. You might not die. It's fine. No, like what if they put your head in Futurama like style, and they're like got your head in the jar? So.
How much money do you think that would? How much money do you think the celebrities that did have it done put aside to have their heads put in a jar?
I don't know. And then we got like Ghost in the Shell kind of concepts where you like take a brain and you like re-download it into like a machine. But we're not there yet. This is way too sci-fi. But anyway,
we still need to figure out flying cars and hoverboards.
Yeah, at this rate, we're probably not in the age where we're all going to live long enough to see, like, these kind of advances to where we could live forever, because that might get really complicated. Except for mortality.
It's like, honestly, I wouldn't want to live forever, because it's like, if it's not the same for everybody, then what would be the point? Your body would still continue aging. Why would you want to live forever if you're going to continue aging? Because there's no way you cannot not age unless you have this perpetual scientific reason as to why your cells can keep regenerating younger cells and you can stay the same. I'm sure there's some kind of a scientific explanation.
You'll turn into Mama Coco. But your skin will just get saggy and saggier until you're just like, dragon.
It's like, no, thank you. I do not want to live like 400 years, like out of Bible times, because God only knows what people look like at 400 years old in Bible times. I don't want to know.
Old people are creepy is the moral of the story. Anyway. But yeah, like, like from Hamilton, dying is easy, living is harder. So like life is hard. Anyway, this is getting really dark, so are there
Anyway, I'm going to finish it off with Monster House, which, yeah, it does have to do with death. But anyway, it's got kids that are exploring a haunted house, so there is that. And then the house is not only haunted, it is alive. It is an actual creature that
So would you say it's a monster house?
Kids. It's a monster house. The house is a monster, but yeah, it's because it's a haunted monster house, that is terrorizing the neighborhood. And the owner of said house is a crotchety old man that doesn't want to deal with any kids on Halloween, and he hates Halloween. I guess just people in general too, because he just doesn't like the world. And at least in the movie, you come to see why that is and why he's so jaded and against the world. And it's quite tragic, but it's like a good kind of like where I guess it's because it comes the direction they go in the movie comes out of left field. Like you're following these kids, it almost as like they went the 80s movie direction, 80s kids movie direction with it, where kids would be exploring a haunted house and they find some actual legit scary stuff. But it was the 80s, so it was fine. Kids could handle it. Uh, so it was like in this one they almost took like the Goonies direction with it. Um, but they set it inside and around this possessed house. Um, and it's awesome. It's got some motion capture in it, which hasn't exactly aged entirely well, but for what it is, it's not bad. At the time that it was made was not too bad. So, and plus the designs are not fully like hyper realistic or anything, so that works in its advantage too. Um, but yeah, it's a fun movie and there's a lot of really funny jokes in it. Just like it feels like the kids are acting like kids in the movie rather than, kids trying to talk like adults or somebody writing down to kids and talking down to them, saying how they should think and reason. Like kids are actually smart and do try to like figure out what's going on and are, trying to solve a mystery. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think it's a fun movie. If you haven't checked it out yet, please do. Definitely Halloween worthy. It's got plenty of spooks and jump scares in it, while also having an actual heart to the story. So definitely check it out.
Hi, this is the editor speaking, Sander. Remember me from the editing episode. Ooh, callback. We had an audio problem where some of the microphones cut out, so we lost a bit of footage. I've tried to edit around it for a while now. Didn't work. So I'm just going to quickly fill you in on what you missed. Basically, KPs are now talking about, they're moved on from what they talked about earlier, and they're now talking about how one of the creators of Clone High saw KP's tweet about her video about Clone High, and they're talking about KP's Clone High video. Back to the show.
Yeah, like that's kind of.
Enough that Phil Lord took notice on Twitter.
Oh
so
yeah,
that's
awesome.
Neat. And he retweeted it.
Yeah, I totally planned the fact that was going to release around the time the JFK Clone High memes became a thing. So timing is weird. It's the only time, like, because I was originally writing about it to respond to the fact that Clone High got like renewed for a reboot, but I'm sure it'll just be tied to the same thing, and they'll just find a way. It's just like technically called a reboot, but anyway. And now, like,
but nothing bad ever happens to the Kennedys.
So, if we get if we get more subscribers, we'll make Lauren read you JFK memes with her JFK voice. But
Ira. gotta shake off the rust.
The rust and the us. But anyway, yeah, so make sure you're subscribed to the main channel and notified, I guess. YouTube's being weird, I guess, where it's making people unsubscribe to stuff. I don't know what's going on.
The what?
I don't know. People in my feed have been talking about it, so it's just like, okay, YouTube, stop being drunk, go home. So, yeah, make sure you're watching those as they come out, and we still do the thing where if you comment in the first 72 hours of the video being released, then you might get a free sketch from a team artist. Yay. There you go.
And we got lots of talented artists on team, so there you go.
Everyone is talented. Sometimes. I think that's all the plugs. Make sure we're on iTunes or Spotify and YouTube if one of those platforms are more convenient than the other. And obviously make sure you share this to people if you have people that like listening to like some bitches on the internet or something like that. Or I guess I'll just call myself a bitch because Lauren's not like the opposite of that. She's too nice for her own good. But anyway,
so does that make you the grump and me not so grump?
I guess maybe that should be like on the holiday t-shirts. We'll make some holiday shirts and then like my mom will buy them.
And wear the Toon Grumps.
But yeah, make sure you're following us on all the social medias and we're all the places, and we'll see you guys next time where we have cool person and things. Have a good Halloween. Make sure you trick or treat, wear a mask, and go vote if you're over 21. Wait,
Yeah,
it's 18 or 21.
Yeah, it's 18.
Oh, I'm getting old. Okay, go vote if you're over 18.
but yeah, just like go ahead, go out there and get some candy. Well, maybe not door to door, but go get some from the store. Bring it back. Have a party in your living room, maybe.
Party and
watch some Halloween movies while eating candy. There you go.
I'll also mention this first. We're also debating on doing some live shows or just some more viewer driven content, I guess. So we might like do a mailbag episode where we read like funny like animation stories on the air, but like there's no, you know what I mean. So if that's something that's interesting to you, just be vocal. And we also have to have people submit. So I did a Twitter poll about this like 2 weeks ago on the Twitter, and people are like, I'd like to listen to that. And I'm just like, yes, but in order to make that, we need to have people submit to that. You can't just listen to things that don't exist. So let us know. And
I think it's fair to at least feel it out with a kind of a poll, just to at least see who will be interested. Because then you can fish out again for the questions. That's nothing wrong with that.
So I guess our email is animationcommunication@gmail. If you have a story you want to share, like either Halloween or just like, LOL, my mom didn't know this thing about animation, and then I told her, and then, she grounded me or something like that. If we, I'll probably make it more concentrated effort as interest peaks, but if you have something that you want us to talk about and read, or be like, hey, Lauren and KP, I listen to you every week. Thanks for breathing air, and we're like, yeah, we did it. So, but yeah, we'll see you guys next week, and I want to stay communicative or something, but we don't really have an outro catchphrase except like subscribe and shit. So, Lauren, do you want to end on anything?
I guess prepare for more spooks and surprises this month, because we'll have lots to talk about in the spooky season. So, I mean, Halloween's a good time to talk about a lot of things, especially in media. So,
Yeah.
I mean, talking about movies and specials was only the beginning, and even then, we've only touched the tip of the iceberg.
Oh
So
man.
stay tuned.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna like the next episode, which we already know what's gonna happen, at least as of right now. So you're gonna like it, I promise.
If you want to know the origins of Food Fight, then listen closely. And then shout out to Hen on the team for making all the new Halloween themed assets. So yeah,
Yes,
he's a
thank
good
you,
bean.
Hen.
He's a good bean.
And is super talented, super talented. We really appreciate everything that you do and all your hard work, man. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for, even though he's grumpy a lot of times, but that's just kind of his MO. All right, bye everyone. See you next week.
Time, guys.
That's all, folks. Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh, there you go.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much for listening to Animation Kimmunication on YouTube, Spotify, or your favorite podcast provider. We are really hoping this show makes a difference in how people view animation and media, as well as giving and providing advice for people all over the world who like or want to join the animation or media industry. If you liked what you heard, please remember to subscribe and rate those 5 stars, as well as tell your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our main YouTube channel, I Love Kim Possible a Lot, and turn those notifications on. My name is Scribbler, and you have been listening to Animation Kimmunication.